Now, to our discussion, the proposed tax reforms represents a bold attempt to recalibrate Nigeria's fiscal framework in favor of inclusivity and efficiency. Now, to shed more light on the tax reform bills and economic outlook for 2025, as a financial expert, Kolawole Kehinde. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you, Musa, for having me. Happy New Year to
Happy
you.
New Year to
I'm
you
sure
as well.
you've had your resolutions for the year.
Yeah, of course.
Fantastic.
Well, part of what we had in the previous year and taking it into the new year is the tax bill. For clarity reasons, if you are to tell an ordinary Nigerian on the street, how do you start? How do you begin? What do you tell the Nigerian when it comes to, to tell him that this particular tax reform doesn't really affect him much, as in it somehow encourage people at maybe the small and business, these people in SMEs, that small and medium scale enterprises. So for clarity reasons, what do you tell him to get him on board with this particular tax reform?
The tax reform bill, as you have rightly mentioned, have generated a lot of morale in the polity, and contrary to your own opinion, even the people in the streets are really agitated, and they I think more knowledgeable about the tax, owing to the fact that the committee that started was inaugurated to champion the tax reform bills had been bullish about information dissemination in the street. But let's look at it like this. We can say government needs more money to provide more services for you. And the only way for you to do that is to contribute more to the purse of the government. Don't forget that there is a social contract between the government and the people. The government is supposed to provide social welfare, buffers, safety of life and property and all of that to the people. And the people in response to that are supposed to bring their tithes and you understand when I say that to the coffers of the government, so that there could be more to spend. So look at it figuratively, and the tax reform bills want to look at a way in which we'll do one, make sure that the number of taxes that we pay before to different organizations and agencies that collect these monies are reduced, making the issue of double taxation, eradicated. And that's music to the ears of a small business. You see the agberos come to collect money, the people at the development control, you see people coming for fumigation, coming for all sorts of taxes. Now the government is saying, hey, that's not going to happen again to you. And that we're going to do what? We're going to make sure we reduce it, but we're going to make sure we expand the number of people that would now qualify to pay tax.
Okay, with the National Assembly deliberating on the proposed tax reforms bills, hopes are high that they could untangle the inefficiencies that have long plagued the nation's fiscal framework.
One of the challenges of even the National Assembly is the lack of adequate time they give for the tax, deliberation itself. You see that one of the challenges that we've had, the tax reform bill has been in the National Assembly, when I say for a while now, and there's been deliberation for to and fro. Some are of the opinion that the reform is quite early, and some are thinking that it's just right in time. That is either within 6 or half a dozen. But everything still rests down to the National Assembly. I think the appeal is to make sure that they devote more time and also work with speed to ensure that the money start coming, because the tax reform bill is also, the budget is also in line, is contingent to the passage of this tax reform bill. The more, you know that the total budget for this year is 49.7. Those monies some of them are going to come from these reforms that we're anticipating. And if those monies do not come, that means government activities will stall. As at last year, Q3, it was just 35% of capital expenditure that were released. So you could imagine what that means. That means year in, year out, so you find out that even though the government has a budget, but they never fully implement that budget. So it's not only to have this, but these reforms come into play. Implementation has always been the issue. And we hope that the National Assembly will roll up their sleeves and get this done in quick time.
You know, it's one thing to have a particular tax system, and it's another to, like, on the other hand, to have a kind of, you know, a mechanism to check corruption and issue of transparency. You know, there are some that are worried that you could have, possibly, maybe you have this particular tax system, but the issue of addressing corruption, so that to make sure that this money is better used for public use, you know. So what do you think should be done to address this issue of transparency and accountability?
I think what should be done, or what the government has already or is proposing to do, is to harmonize the number of people that actually go around collecting revenues. And that means that the government first is proposing that there will be a single body collecting that, which is the Nigerian Revenue Service. You know that the FRS and the state revenue services, as well as other bodies like the Nigerian Customs, Nigerian Ports Authority, and every other of them collects one form of tax or the other. Now, this has created weak monitoring, because there's so many agencies that are collecting those taxes. Now, by the time there is an harmonization, probably with the use of technology, there will be more trust and there will be more transparency, because the truth about the matter is that the citizens want trust, and trust is the highest currency that the government needs to really put out now.
Okay, but issue of you know, it definitely gets. I mean, after everything is collected, it ends with a particular authority who uses the you know, the overall tax for the benefit of the society. How do we check this? That's just the point. How do we check this? Okay. How do we have a mechanism in place to check all this? These monies are properly used, you know, and accounted for.
I think citizen engagement is really important now, more so that there has been another layer. When I say layer, now monies are going to go directly to the local government, and these are this is the arm of government that had not seen that magnitude of money before. So you know that without improved or well laid out structures, you are sure that the issue of corruption or mismanagement, misappropriation of funds will be there. Again, the role of Ministry of Finance is really critical, but most importantly, it is for the citizens to engage and ask the right questions.
Okay, how does this reform fit to the broader, you know, focus of trying to, or broader policy, fiscal policy of the government, and effort to check or reduce burden from borrowing?
Okay, if you look at the budget per se, you find that the total budget is about proposed 49.7, about 13.1 is supposed to be a deficit. That means which is what we're going to borrow. That's close about 26% of the anticipated budget. That's really huge, owing to the fact that that budget alone is that budget alone. If you add the budget of defense, education, health, and all of that, it captures it. But not only that, we're also going to be servicing debts with about 16-point-something trillion. So you see that there is a level of unsustainability. We can say that the budget is more aspiration than really reality. And of course, we need to ensure that we create an avenue whereby monies can actually come. I think it's important that the federal government and all state governments should really sit down and not waste the time of the citizens, so that they can agree the modalities at which these taxes will be accrued up or will be collected. Most especially the issue of VAT, and I think that's really what has been contentious in the country. You know, the proposed VAT is 7.5. The current is 7.5, but by next year we're looking at 12.5. But the northern governors are saying we want to go to make VAT about 3%. So now, if we don't have and the north has a large informal sector, that means less tax will be paid, less revenues will be collected, and all of that. And where you find low consumption, that means low revenue will be collected. So what do? Increase the tax base. That's really the most important thing. Bring more people to the formal sector, and ensure that we create an avenue whereby we also stimulate economy. As at today, Nigerians spend most of their earnings on essentials, food, clothing, rents, and without us being able to have this significant some monies for investment, it becomes difficult to even push and grow the economy. What am I saying? The government has to continue to engage the citizenry, and the citizens also need to speak louder and ensure that the government proposes a phased implementation of this new tax regime.
Okay, briefly, before I just let you go, you talked about the informal sector, but how does it address the digital sector, considering that it contributes a lot to the economy?
Okay, I think you mentioned about MBS trying to rebase even the GDP, parameters GDP and all of that, and the technology thing comes into place. Almost every young man or lady you see on TikTok or on Instagram are earning money, but Nigeria does not have enough technology to trap those funds. Okay. I think it's important also for government to upscale the technology to see how these people would voluntarily want to pay tax. And of course, for us in the SME space, there is a proposal that once your turnover is between 0 and 50 million, there are so many taxes you're exempted from. So we'll see how that goes. And most importantly, it's important that there are legislations that impact directly on how the digital economy is taxed, but they must not be overtaxed.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kolawole Kehinde. It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you so much, Musa, and have a wonderful day.